Hello, this is Ethan Stahl. Welcome to my Cold War era culture in America presentation. I don't really have a good way to set up a camera, so I'm having to hold it while also talking about it. So let's go ahead and get started, though. So during the Cold War, the American culture exploded in like sports and in the entertainment industries. Is what I come to found through my research. So the Cold War, of course, starting in 1947, it was a war of ideas, not with weapons. That's why it was called the Cold War because it wasn't like a general warfare. Um, of course, it almost led to that with the Cuban Missile Crisis, but luckily that didn't end up going. Of course, the Berlin Wall was set up 1963. The U.S. had an airlift there. I found lasted like 321 days and dropped a ton of supplies to Eastern Germany. Um, and the Berlin Wall is important because when the Berlin Wall was torn down, that was essentially what is widely considered the end of the Cold War. And there's a picture of a news article of the Cold War. So the sports industry during the Cold War saw huge growth, and specifically in areas like Olympics and then some of the professional sports. Um, so the Olympic Games really became like a political battleground between the United States and a lot of the free world versus like the Eastern Bloc or red athletes. And when red athletes or whatever would win, it would spread like sort of like fears and like they're superior or whatever. But then when an American athlete would win, it would reassure the people that freedom would prevail. Um, Sports like the Olympics during this time were particularly able to explode with the invention of the television, which we'll talk about a lot during this, as it really helped carry a lot of sports forward. But the biggest moment of the Olympic Games during the Cold War era, at least relating to the Cold War, was when the United States hockey team uh, had the Miracle on Ice, where they upset the Red Machine, which was considered to be one of the biggest upsets in sports history. There's a Sports Illustrated article on that. Professional sports in America also saw a huge increase. The NCAA tournament or March Madness uh, became popular, and then the NBA with stars like Julius Erving, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird really carried the NBA to new heights. The Super Bowl also started, and the NFL became the most popular sport in America, taking over from boxing, who had stars like Muhammad Ali, Frazier, Mike Tyson, which was the golden age of boxing, and it was probably the biggest sport during the Cold War. Sports Illustrated really helped turn America from seeing sports as a participation act into a spectator sports, because they provided a lot of reports and things to provide more information to fans. The entertainment industry also saw a huge boost during this time, specifically regarding because of the invention of the television. So movies and television became new things for culture. So movies during this era, movie theaters became really popular destinations during this time, with many people going to movies like on Friday nights and stuff, which has continued really ever since. Um, a lot of movies during this time saw Russians as villains, but there were also plenty of other movies like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and then The Godfather, just to name a few other ones. But Star Wars was the biggest hit on like pop culture. Television also was, of course, booming, of course, with the invention of the television, which is a whole different way of entertainment. There's a new way to watch sports, news, and even just general entertainment like shows. There were some shows that had to do with the Cold War, like I Spy, but a lot of them were to give normalcy during the time, like the Dick Van Dyke Show, Andy Griffin Show, and the Brady Bunch. There's a picture of a poster for the premiere of Star Wars in 1979. So during so my conclusions on this is the time during the Cold War really saw and gave an opportunity for sports and entertainment to really grow. It was a really big time for those two things. But what I was surprised was when I was looking for this, I wasn't actually looking for sports entertainment things. I was actually looking for things more like propaganda in America, consumerism, and advertisements and things like that, or the race to space as being more influential, bigger like pop culture things, but I didn't find as many things as I thought I was going to about those things. So I ended up going with I found a lot of things about how sports and entertainment grew, so I ended up going with those instead. So that's really what my presentation is. So thank you.